Rainbow Reflections, Book 2, Put Out the Fire, Chapter 17, Any Way the Wind Blows. Ren exited the eating hall with 2 trays of food, hoping that her father was out of the healing room so she'd be able to speak to Sorala privately. But when she entered the green-painted space, she saw that Sorala still wasn't alone. She sat on the bed, staring at the floor, while Zin stood next to her. I have a lot to learn for the brown sash level, Sorala was saying as Ren stepped in. How much is a lot? Zin asked curiously. For weapons, there's the broadsword, spear, and butterfly knives, Sorala began, not looking once towards Ren. You also use a short stick and double daggers in the techniques. Apart from the techniques, hand forms, and kicks, there's also the wall bag, board breaking, a 2-person hand form where you have to learn 2 different roles, and a 2-person staff form, and I'm probably forgetting other things. That's a lot, Ren said, approaching the bed awkwardly. Zin nodded. We're never gonna get to black, are we? Sorala snorted. Speak for yourself. I'm going to make it my goal to get to black by the time this school year is over. There's no way you'll get there, Zin grumbled. Not in that short amount of time. Even if you somehow manage to learn all that, Dad would never allow you to test until he deems you've had enough time to go over the material. Sorala scowled at them and made no response, continuing to ignore Ren. Ren bit her bottom lip, her mind replaying the events of the previous day, starting with a disastrous dance and ending with her father's advice that morning. Does Sorala still want to be with me? She wondered as she stared at the girl on the bed. Do I want to be with her? Duh, of course I do. But what if Dad's right and I shouldn't be dating her? No, Sorala wouldn't hurt me like that a second time. It was all a mistake. But what if she doesn't want to be with me after all? What if the dance was her way of telling me so? It's not like we really act like girlfriends after all. Are we more like friends? Sorala, Ren stated abruptly. Sorala finally glanced up at her, turmoil in her golden eyes. Ren blushed, feeling the heat in her cheeks. Zin, could you go for a minute? Zin raised an eyebrow at her, then swirled around, their robe flying out behind them. They ran from the room wordlessly. Once they were gone, Ren set down the trays on a separate bed and sat next to Sorala. What is it? Sorala grumbled, staring at the trays. Ren took a deep breath, then blurted out, Are we still together? Sorala was quiet for a long moment, then muttered, I don't know. Ren stretched her hand forward to grasp Sorala's. I know the dance thing was awkward, but I want to be with you. I still love you, Sorala. Silence fell, as cold as the air outside. Sorala continued to stare at the food, her golden eyes glassy. As the moments passed by, tears formed in Ren's own eyes and slid down her cheeks, though she wasn't aware of them. She held her breath as she stared at Sorala, willing the girl to speak. But how can we go back to what we had before? Sorala asked at last. Do you regret what you did? Ren asked. Of course, Sorala murmured, glancing up at Ren briefly before looking away again. Then we can go back to normal, Ren said softly. Please, Sorala, don't let this come between us. I forgive you. We can forget it ever happened, okay? We can only move forward if we let go of the past. Sorala sighed heavily, still keeping her gaze averted. Fine. I guess we're still together then. Ren squealed in delight and hopped across the bed to throw her arms around Sorala. Yes, yes! She rested her head against Sorala's, the room no longer feeling so chilly. I'm so happy we're still dating, she said softly. I'm happy too, Sorala whispered. The 2 girls sat in silence for a long time, Ren taking in Sorala's warmth. After what seemed ages, Ren finally released her hold of Sorala to grab the trays. She passed one to her girlfriend, then the 2 ate quietly, Ren holding Sorala's hand the whole time. They had barely finished eating when the door suddenly flew open, wind and snow flying inside.
Sorry about that.
Jabali? Ren yelped in surprise. What are you doing here?
You kids are gonna come home with me for winter break,
Jabali said, patting down his pink shirt which clung tightly to his muscular body.
Where's your twin at? We gotta go.
Right this second?
Well, I guess you can take a few minutes to pack, but preferably soon,
Jabali said. It's snowing outside, Sorala grumbled, her grip on Ren's hand tightening.
Then that's the perfect time to go,
Jabali exclaimed with a broad grin.
After all, that Mimita won't be able to see ya easily in a snowstorm, so get packed up and meet back here in 10, okay?
But why are we going with you? Ren queried, sliding off the bed and standing up, still holding Sorala's hand. Did something happen? Is Dad going too?
Nope, your dad's got business to attend to here, so I'll be watching ya,
he replied easily. What sort of business? Jabali shrugged.
The Gov come in looking for Aster. Either way, you kids gotta come with me. So get a movin'.
Ren frowned. The government is coming? But why? And what about Aster? Did they find him? Yet she did not have time to ask any of her questions aloud, the thoughts flying through her head so quickly that she barely comprehended them herself. In seconds, Jabali was shooing them out the door and into the courtyard, where they ran into Hyaktu coming from the direction of the tower. Dad, why are we—
I told them they're coming with me.
Jabali's booming voice drowned out Ren's in the whipping wind. Hyaktu nodded once, his hair lashing in all directions. He threw a thick blue robe over Ren's head and into Jabali's arms. You left that in the tower, he stated bluntly.
Thought I was forgetting something,
chuckled the large man.
Go, kids, go! We ain't got all day!
Ren sighed and pulled Sorala along after her. Shivering against the beating wind and fleeting snow, it was a challenge to cross the courtyard. When the two finally made it to the Tai Chi studio, they both let out a sigh of relief and moved as quickly to the tower door as they could. As they entered, the air felt warm despite the fireplace not being lit. Figuring that Hyaktu had just put out the flames, Ren collapsed beside the charred branches in an attempt to warm up. Sorala remained by the door. Ren was just about to tell Sorala to join her when her head ached tremendously and she fell face first to the floor. Yet this vision was not like all of the other visions she had in the past. Images didn't fly by in milliseconds like they usually did. Instead, there was only one image, a snowy forest setting, though the background was too blurry to make out the details. There was a small red shape off to the side, but the more Ren tried to focus on it, the more hazy it became. She instead glanced to the other side of the image, where a gold-clad figure stood up against a tree. Yet the more she stared, the more she could not see. Eyes flying open, the snowy forest vanished to be replaced by the faces of Zin and Sorala. But they were blurry too. Ren was just about to freak out when she realized her glasses had fallen off. Zin handed them to her now, and after placing them on, she let out a sigh of relief that she could see both clearly again. Are you okay? Zin asked. Did you have a vision? Sorala queried. Ren sat up, her headache already diminishing. No, she stated. I don't think so. Then what happened? Both of them asked in unison, their faces plastered in concern. Ren gasped as everything clicked and she realized what she had seen. Not bothering to tell the others, she called out to her father telepathically, telling him to get to the tower at once. He did not respond, and she hoped that he could hear her with the snow flying around. Ren? Sorala pressed. Ren was just about to reply when the door was suddenly flung open. Each teen jumped in alarm at Hyaktu's abrupt entrance, the man darting in so fast he almost appeared like a blur of wind. What's wrong? He panted, stumbling to a sloppy stop and nearly crashing into Zin. Jabali entered much more slowly behind him, closing the tower door. Are you kids okay? I had some sort of vision, Ren told the group. I mean, I don't think it was a vision, because I was able to see it clearly. Well, not clearly, as everything was blurry, but it was only one image and not a bunch, so— What did you see? Hyaktu interrupted her ramble. I think I saw Aster, Ren said, her heart pounding rapidly in her chest. He was up against a tree, and there was a small red figure on the other side of the forest, which I think was Kaokat. Kaokat does have Aster then, Hyaktu muttered under his breath. But why were you able to see this when I couldn't? Or Fern?
Maybe that crazy cat is sending Ren visions,
suggested Jabali.
Or maybe they put up some sort of shield to prevent you from seeing their location?
Hyaktu pursed his lips and made no response.
Did you see where this was?
Jabali asked, Turning back to Ren shook her head. Just somewhere in the forest. So they're probably close by, Hyaktu murmured. I'll tell the teachers about this. We'll try and make it out there for ourselves once the government comes and goes. Please be careful, Dad, whispered Ren. Yeah, don't get captured by Kaokat too, Zin added.
Your dad won't,
Jabali said, placing a hand on Hyaktu's shoulder.
He and them teachers will be careful. Now, y'all packed up and ready to go?
The trio scrambled to their feet and hurried to the spiraling stairs. After 10 minutes, they met back in the family room, each holding a backpack stuffed with clothes, and the family mirror in Ren's case. The group of 5 then exited the tower and headed for the front of the school. They only paused when they were in the entrance hall. I'll miss you, Hyaktu said, giving the twins a hug each. But this time, we won't be apart for too long. Maybe I'll even try to join you. I hope you can, Ren said as Zin nodded eagerly beside her. Hyaktu hugged them again, then glanced toward Sorala. She stiffened, so he merely placed a hand on her shoulder and gave her a small nod. He then turned around to hug Jabali before finally stepping back. I'll see you soon. Ren smiled at him, but as she exited the school behind the others, her lips turned into a frown. Why do we have to be sent away? Why can't we help? We're family. We're supposed to help each other, not leave each other behind. Ren sighed as she stumbled through the snow, hardly aware that the winds were dying down. As the 5 walked in silence, the snow began falling much more quietly until it sprinkled down lightly. If Ren didn't have her eyes on her feet crunching through the snow, she would have found the winter forest beautifully tranquil. Ren, are you okay? Zin's voice echoed in her mind. She glanced up to see Zin staring over their shoulder. She smiled softly in return as they fell in step beside her. I'll be fine, she said softly, her breath fogging the cool air. Zin gazed at her for a long moment, then nodded once. Do you think we should try looking for Kaokat out here, before Jabali takes us to Vinetown? No! Ren immediately responded, her eyes widening. Why would you suggest that? Dad wouldn't want us finding them the moment we leave the school. We have to go with Jabali, not run off. I guess. Zin's voice sounded unconvinced. Please, Zin, just drop it. We don't even know if they're in the forest around the school. Maybe they're in Vinetown or some other city. We have to go with Jabali. It was Zin's turn to stare at their feet. They were silent for a few moments before speaking again. Do you think Kaokat sent you that vision? Why would they do that? And how can they get inside your head like that? Maybe they were supposed to be my spirit guide, so they're trying to guide me? Zin glanced at her skeptically. What? Any spirit can be a spirit guide. They might not have the best intentions, though, which is why you have to be careful when interacting with spirits. I guess that would make sense. Zin was silent for several more minutes, Ren not knowing what else to say. Eventually, the 4 people came to a stop next to Jabali's rowboat. This time, however, it had a long wooden cover placed several meters above the seats, which curved beyond the edges of the boat to provide shelter from the elements. The teens grabbed onto the poles, holding the roof up, in order to clamber on. Jabali hopped in, stooping beneath the ceiling at the front of the boat.
Let's go!
He boomed. As he brought his knee up in front of him, the boat seemed to jump in the air. Within seconds, they were gliding along the snow, Jabali controlling the earth beneath it. Ren, you know how we never found my adoption papers on the ship? Zin's voice came again. Ren glanced at them, nodding once. They had been so disappointed after their search had turned up nothing. We can look in the library in town, Zin said keenly. Ren frowned. But how are we going to find anything about your heritage when we still don't know where you came from? Jabali! Zin exclaimed aloud.
Hmm?
You were with Dad when he got us, right? Zin asked abruptly. Jabali frowned over his shoulder at them, then muttered,
Kinda. We traveled together at the time of getting us in, but I never went with him to the orphanage. I stayed on the ship with baby Ren.
But you know which orphanage he got me from? Zin pressed.
Yes.
Where was it then? Zin asked eagerly, leaning forward in excitement and nearly falling forward as the boat bumped along.
A small island near the Ire Empire,
Jabali murmured.
Don't remember which one exactly. We went across so many islands. But the orphanage was called something like Golden Bay Orphanage, which confused me as it was located inland, not near the ocean.
And what about Ren? Zin asked, making eye contact with their sister waiting quietly behind Jabali.
I wasn't there when he got her,
Jabali said with a shrug. But you came to rescue Dad, didn't you? Ren asked. So you know which island I was on, right? Jabali kept his eyes forward as he stomped continuously on the boat, causing the vessel to carry them around trees and bushes. After a long moment had passed, he murmured,
Yeah, I mean, the island ain't got a name. It was in the middle of nowhere after all. It's somewhere in the Sea of Rio, a tiny place that might not even be on a map.
Thanks, Jabali, Ren said, smiling up at him. Yeah, thanks. Jabali said nothing in response. Ren turned back to her twin with a smile. That was a good idea, Zin. Maybe I can figure out if that island has any other islands nearby. Or maybe there's some lore of Kaokat there. Oh, we should try to find more information on them in general. Zin nodded happily. Yeah, we'll finally figure out where we came from and who our real families are. Ren's smile slipped away, her thoughts drifting as much as the boat. But we are a real family already. They made it to Vinetown about 2 hours later, as the snow had picked up again, causing Jabali to slow the boat's progress when he could barely see in front of him. Luckily, he had an enchanted rod filled with fire magic on the boat, which the teens huddled against to stay warm. After reaching Jabali's boulder-like house, which no longer had holes in the ceiling to keep the snow out, the trio went to put their bags down in the spare room. But they found several stone frog oils lying all over the floor. Jabali quickly loaded them up on his boat, declaring that he had to bring them to Hyaktu the following day. The hours whizzed by like the snow outside until it was night. Ren was pulling a fuzzy blanket over her to keep out the chill when Zin suddenly spoke in her mind. We need to go to the library tomorrow. What? But Jabali's going to the school again, Ren replied in dismay, sitting up to peer at Zin in the shadowy room. Exactly, so we can go the moment he's gone, then be back before he returns. It'll take him at least 3 hours, if not more. Vinetown is just down the hill, so we can make it there and back in that amount of time, Zin said eagerly. I don't know, Zin. Do you really think Jabali's gonna let us out of his sight? Zin scoffed. Ren sighed. But please, Ren, this could be our only chance ever to learn more about our heritage. Ren took a deep breath. Fine, but we need to be quick. We don't want to run into Kaokat or get stuck in a blizzard. We won't, Zin grinned. I doubt Kaokat is anywhere nearby, and the snowstorm will probably be gone tomorrow. It sounds like it's already slowing down. That's a good point. Huzzah! Zin lay back on the mossy floor, flinging a blanket over themselves. Ren sighed and pulled her blanket closer, a shiver running down her spine. She closed her eyes, hoping that the blizzard would be going more strongly the next day. Yet when morning arrived hours later, the sky was clear and the air was crisp. Not a single snowflake fell. Ren and Zin waved to Jabali as he left in the boat, both dressed in winter robes and fuzzy hats. The moment he vanished from sight, Zin turned to their twin. Let's go, they whispered. Right now? Duh, we need to get back before he does. What time is it? Ren took the family mirror out of her pocket to check. 8:22. So we need to be back here by 11, Zin said. Come on. They raced away from the house, their pointed shoes crunching the snow loudly beneath them. Ren grumbled in dismay and stuffed the mirror back in her pocket before running after them. What about Sarala? Ren hissed in an undertone, not sure why she was keeping her voice low as they darted through bushes and trees. She likes to sleep in, and she'll probably refuse to go to the town, Zin panted, their breath a puff of fog on the air. Besides, I thought you didn't want her knowing that you might be a spirit. Ren didn't argue the point, her lungs pierced by the frigid air. Face and feet numb, she trudged after Zin, glad that they slowed to a rapid walk. After a few minutes of walking, the siblings reached a hill, which overlooked Vinetown. The small city was covered in snow rather than vines, the buildings and plants hardly visible beneath the blanket of white. As they stared, they could make out tiny figures walking through the streets. Ooh, I have an idea, Zin said, bouncing up and down on the balls of their feet. What if we found a piece of wood to ride down, like a boat? Ren bit her bottom lip, the hoverboats incident flaring in her mind. I'm not sure, Zin. It'll be more like sledding rather than driving, Zin pressed. And you can use your air magic to control where we go, so we can avoid any obstacles. Ren adjusted the fluffy scarf around her neck. I guess it would be worth a try. Yee! I'll find us some wood! Minutes later, Zin returned, something large scraping through the snow behind them. That's a leaf, Ren stated, raising an eyebrow. I couldn't find any wood big enough for us to ride, Zin replied. This leaf will work. Ren shrugged. Zin cast the leaf in front of them and sat down on it, the material slick enough that it didn't break apart beneath them. Ren paused, then got on the magenta leaf behind Zin, pulling her wand from her pocket. Ready? Zin asked, their voice higher than usual. Ren nodded, her heart pounding rapidly in excitement. She hadn't been sledding in years, and she didn't realize how much she had missed it. Zin gripped the edges of the leaf tightly, then nudged it forward bit by bit until it started moving slowly down the hill. Ren was just about to say she'd add some air power when the leaf suddenly took off. She let out a yelp of surprise as Zin screamed in terror, her heart left behind at the top of the slope. Ren quickly regained her composure and began ordering her magic to push them to the left or right, Zin still yowling. As they dodged tree and rock and horned hair, her twin continued to shriek. Plants and animals scattered out of their path, Zin seeming more terrified than them. Wind rushed through Ren's hair, and she was glad the fuzzy hat was pulled over her ears to keep the chill out, and muffle her siblings' cries. Eventually, the leaf slowed down at the bottom of the hill, Zin still screeching even as it stopped. Ren had to flick her twin in order to pull them from their shocked stupor. I hate sledding, Zin mumbled, still gripping the leaf so tightly that their knuckles had paled. It was your idea, she pointed out, rolling her eyes. Anyway, we're here, and maybe I can use my air magic to make the leaf fly on the way back, like a real air magician flying a real boat. You are the one who's good at magic, Zin muttered as they got to their feet, holding their arms out on either side of them. Let's go then, Ren said as she stood, her legs shaky. The two had landed just outside the city, and it took 10 minutes to reach the first building. As observed from above, the city looked very different in the winter than it had in the summer. Though some vines still crept about the stone and wooden buildings, most of the plants were covered in snow, while some had died completely. Most trees were barren, the bark stripping away on their trunks. The streets were slick with ice, the twins slipping on multiple occasions as they made their way through the quiet city. Where do you think the library is? Ren asked, checking the time on her mirror to see it was now 8:56. Zin looked around, then grinned widely. Mint! Hi, Mint! Ren glanced up swiftly, following her twin's gaze. Mint was on the other side of the street, dressed in at least 2 green sweaters and fuzzy pants. Alarmed, they whipped their head back and forth, then relaxed a little as they noticed the twins. They waved, allowing the twins to see her blue bracelet. She had her typical green backpack over her shoulders. Hi, Zin! Hi, Ren! Mint called, already stumbling across the icy road to reach the twins. What are you doing here? We're staying with our dad's friend for the break, Ren said brightly, she and Zin hurrying to meet their friend. What are you up to? Mint straightened up after nearly falling to her knees, then stepped onto the sidewalk beside them before replying. I want to get some books from the library, Mint mumbled. Hey, wanna hang out? Zin asked eagerly, exchanging a glance with Ren. Mint blinked in surprise. Oh, I don't know. The library is nothing special. Come on, Mint, Zin exclaimed. It'd be fun. Mint smiled. I guess we can. Follow me. They walked through the slick streets, grabbing hold of each other whenever they nearly slipped. The air was crisp and fresh, bringing the scents of cinnamon and mint from nearby food businesses. Hardly anyone was out, and the roads remained empty of boats until the trio made it closer to the center of the city. So do you have any plans for the break? Ren asked Mint. Mint shrugged. I've just been cooking, making art, playing games on the internet with my net friends. Net friends? Zin asked. Mint nodded, dropping her gaze. I'm kinda on the airnets a lot. I have groups I'm part of, like a few cooking ones and a potion making one and one that's focused on games. I have plenty of net friends, and we do lots of air calls, especially over the break. Interesting, Zin noted, their eyes shining. I always forget there are groups on the airnet. I keep thinking it's just information based, like if you want to find a picture or figure out how to build something. Mint frowned. The airnet is so much more than that? We didn't really use the airnet growing up, Ren said apologetically. Dad said something about it being bad if you used it too much, so he only let us use it to look up information or watch or read things, and never to join any forums or groups or anything. Plus, he said that we'd need to know someone in real life to let us into a group in the first place, so that would already be hard since we didn't know too many people before starting school. Oh, Mint mumbled, fiddling her thumbs. Yeah, I guess the airnet can be a bit obsessive. An awkward silence fell for several moments as they walked, the only sound that of the moaning wind and the crunching of snow beneath their winter boots. So, is Sorala with you too? Mint asked a little hesitantly. Yep, Zin replied simply. She's not here, but she's at Jabali's house. Oh, I didn't know she'd, after the whole dance thing, I didn't know she'd be speaking with you, Mint murmured. I'm sorry about that, Ren. You don't have anything to apologize for, Ren said in surprise. I should be the one apologizing to you. I'm really sorry I asked you to go with me, then left you. I genuinely thought Sorella wasn't going to go. Otherwise, I would have gone with her. Oh, this sounds so bad. She put a hand on her forehead, trying to come up with the right words. I mean, I don't want you to think I was using you, because I wasn't, but I know it probably looks that way, and I'm really sorry, and I genuinely wanted to go with you, as friends, of course, and I figured we both had no partners to go with, so it'd be fine, and— Ren! Zin hissed quietly, shoving her shoulder. What? She glanced up at Mint and realized there were tears in her eyes. Oh no, I'm so sorry, Mint. I didn't mean to make you cry. I'm just making things worse, aren't I? Mint quickly wiped the tears away as they streaked down. No, I'm not crying because of you using me, she said hastily, offering her a smile. I know you're not like that, Ren. I appreciate that you wanted to go with me at all. That's why I'm crying. Because you wanted to go with me. That's the first time anyone's wanted to go with me. Hey, I went with you last year, Zin pointed out. But you only did because you didn't have a partner, Mint mumbled, looking guilty. Good point, Zin muttered. Honestly, that dance rule is stupid and shouldn't exist. Ren snorted in amusement. Yeah, maybe it shouldn't be enforced as much as it is. The three chuckled for a moment, then Mint asked Ren seriously. So did you and Sorala make up with each other? Oh, I hope I didn't come between you two. That's the last thing I'd want. We're fine, Ren said firmly. And I would never blame you for anything that happened. Please stop worrying. Mint ran a hand through her wavy hair. Okay, I'll try, but worrying is the only thing I'm good at. That's not true, Zin growled. You're good at lots of things, like cooking and potions. And healing, Ren said, knowing that Mint wanted to be a healer one day. I'm sure you're great at that. You two are too kind, Mint cried, the tears streaming down her cheeks again. So, the library, we almost there? Zin exclaimed awkwardly. Yes, Mint chuckled, wiping the tears away once more. It's over there. Ren looked at where Mint was pointing and realized the library was across the street from them. The building was huge and long, made of sturdy stone with 2 levels. Ren and Zin came to a stop in their tracks as they stared at the enormous structure. This is gonna take a while, Zin mumbled to Ren. Are you checking out books too? Mint asked them, peering over her shoulder as she continued to walk. Ren grabbed Zin's arm and pulled them along after her. No, we're just looking, she said. What are you looking for? Art books, Mint replied at once. I love doing all sorts of crafts over the break. The three entered the library through double doors, silence engulfing them at once. I can't stand how quiet the libraries are, Zin commented. Really? I like the tranquility, Ren replied. And the smell of books. That we can agree on, Zin said, breathing in the strong scent of bamboo paper. Want to come to the art section with me? Mint asked the twins. You can help me choose what to craft next. Actually, we want to check out the, geography section, Zin said hastily. Mint's smile vanished as quickly as it had come, her eyes becoming glassy. I'll go with you, Ren said at once, beaming up at her. You will? Mint grinned. Great! Are you sure, Ren? Zin asked her with a frown. Yes, Ren said firmly. We said we'd hang out with Mint, so that's what I'm going to do. But what about finding out where you came from? I suppose you'll have to look for me, Ren replied. Meet back here in a bit? She asked it aloud. Zin nodded once, then turned and walked away. Ren looked up at the signs hanging above the many bookshelves, which declared each section in the library. The geography segment was straight ahead, next to the huge history area. Ren glanced around for the art section, but she didn't see anything. Where is it at? She asked Mint. The second floor, Mint replied. Mint led the way to the far left of the long building, where a staircase sat. The two walked up to the second floor, the floorboards creaking softly. They soon saw more shelves stretched before them. A group of tables stood off to the side, where a few people read books or wrote papers. Ren caught sight of 3 classmates. Aol had his head resting on Ronael's shoulder as they read from the same book, and Raimugi was writing quickly on a piece of paper as they referred to a thick volume. Raimugi caught sight of Ren and waved cheerfully before returning to their studying. Ren trailed Min to the nearby art shelf. The two pulled out several books, flipping to images of different crafts and sometimes laughing at the projects. They chatted a lot in low voices as they grabbed books at random, barely paying attention to the volumes. Before they knew it, an hour had gone by. I'm hungry, Min said suddenly, her stomach growling loudly. What time is it? Ren pulled out the family mirror from her robe pocket. 10:16, and I'm hungry too, she said. We should probably get going. Ren helped Mint grab the books she wanted to check out, then they returned to the first floor. While Mint went to the desk at the front of the library, Ren approached the geography section for Zin. However, she couldn't find them. Zin, where are you? Ren finally asked, as Mint went to wait by the double doors, stuffing the books in her backpack. Where are you? Zin queried. Ren rolled her eyes and joined Mint. By the front doors. A moment later, Zin appeared from the far right side of the library. They bounded across the carpeted floor, their robe billowing behind them. A librarian hissed at them to stop running, but Zin didn't appear to hear. Luckily, they skidded to a stop a moment later. Did you find anything? Ren asked as they approached. Sorta. The Golden Bay Orphanage is on an island called Gula. Never heard of it, Ren commented. Did you find anything with my island? No, sorry. So what do you think we should do? Mint asked. Ren blinked, unaware that the girl had been talking when Ren had her telepathic conversation with Zin. Sorry, what? I was asking if you want to get food, Mint said. Ooh, yes, I'm starving, Zin said eagerly. Okay, what kind of food do you like? Mint asked as the three exited the library. Do you want to do breakfast or go for an early lunch? Lunch, Zin said, grinning broadly. Are there any sandwich places around here? I could really go for a sandwich right now. But it's not even 11, Ren pointed out. So, we can take the food back to the house, Zin said. Well, there's an awesome sandwich place nearby, Mint told them. They've got the perfect subs. The trio talked about food as they went, unable to think of anything else as they got hungrier. The sun was peeking through thick clouds, pleasantly warm on their backs. A breeze shifted through on occasion, reminding them that it was still chilly outside, but they luckily warmed up as they walked. Soon enough, Mint pointed out a one-story building made of stone with a sign that read Sunny Subs in gold paint. They entered the small restaurant, only to walk into a long line of people. Even though it wasn't lunchtime yet, the place was bustling. One single counter stretched from the left to the right. Most of the store was dedicated to a dining area on the right side, with a small self-serve station at the back. Ren led the others to the end of the line, which was halfway through the dining room. I can't see the menu, Zin complained, squinting at the large board on the wall behind the counter. We'll get close soon, Ren said. Though the line was long, it was moving fast. There were 5 employees at work, Ren watching them curiously. One was taking orders at the left-hand side of the counter, where bread was piled up. 3 employees worked along the counter, ready to put condiments on the sandwiches. The last employee remained on the register and handed out bamboo cups. Within no time, the teens reached the first employee, Ren forgetting to look at the menu. "What can I get for you?" the employee asked Mint, who went first. "Can I get the sweet oat bread, a 6-inch, and toasted with the pepper tofu?" Mint asked eagerly. "Sure thing, Mint." "Someone's clearly been here before," Zin scoffed to Ren. Ren chuckled, watching as the employee quickly sliced a dark bread with oats on it. They grabbed some pepper tofu slices and placed them on the bread, then put the sandwich in a large toaster oven. Instead of pushing a button to turn on the toaster, though, they merely set their hand against the metal surface. A few seconds later, they opened the toaster and took out the sandwich, which was crispy. The second employee helped Mint down the line, asking them what condiments they wanted. "What can I get for you?" the first employee asked Ren. Ren quickly looked at the menu, allowing Zin to go next. "I'll take a beanball sandwich," they said. "The regular beanball or the boom ball?" the employee asked. "Oh, what's the boom ball?" Ren queried. "It's beanballs marinated in a spicy prickle pepper sauce, best served with onions toasted on it," the employee said. "It's so good, my personal favorite." Ren smiled. "Sure, I'll take it." "I just want the regular beanball," Zin said. "That boom one sounds too spicy. Can I get mine toasted with tomatoes too, though?" "Sure thing. What type of bread would you both like?" Ren scanned the various breads offered. Wheat, sweet oat, sourdough, croissant, and pusofta. "Croissant!" Zin declared. "And I'll take the pusofta," Ren said. 6-inch is fine. "What's a pusofta?" Zin asked, shooting their sister a glance. "It's a grain made from the pusofta plant, remember?" Ren replied. "It's like wheat, but covered in a sweet powder that melts gloriously in your mouth." The employee nodded, grabbing the bread from the pile and cutting 2 footlongs in half. They then moved to the back wall, where a hot food unit was set up. They scooped the beanballs onto the bread, grabbed some tomatoes and onions from the front lineup, then threw Zin's sandwich in the toaster. This time they pushed a button, the oven heating up the sandwich as they put Ren's sandwich together, taking the beanballs from a different container. They grabbed only onions for hers, added it onto the sandwich, then pulled Zin's from the toaster. For Ren's sandwich, they pressed their hand against the oven again. "Don't you get tired of using your magic to toast them?" Ren asked curiously. "During the rush, yeah," the employee admitted, pulling Ren's sandwich from the oven after a few seconds. "But it's faster than the toaster itself, so I don't mind much." The employee set the sandwich on the counter, passing it to the next person. Ren could smell the spicy sandwich from the other side of the glass divider on the counter, and her stomach groaned. The twin sandwiches were soon wrapped in bamboo paper bags. They moved to the register as Mint finished paying. Ren was glad she had packed some money for the trip to town, and she paid for both of their sandwiches. After dropping some coins in the tip jar, the twins squished through the long line and returned to the freezing outdoors. "We should be getting back to Jubali's," Ren said, pulling out the mirror with her free hand. "It's 10:42. "I'll walk you back," Mint offered. The 3 therefore headed to the outskirts of the town, Ren glad that she could navigate their way back as she recalled familiar signs they'd passed when they had arrived. Zin and Mint pulled out their sandwiches and bit into them as they walked. Ren was tempted to do the same, her mouth watering and her stomach grumbling, but she didn't want to drop her food or misstep if she wasn't paying attention. "So are you excited that you're almost done with school?" Ren asked Mint as they went. Mint's eyes widened at the prospect. "No," she moaned, eating her sandwich rapidly until it was gone. "My parents are gonna kick me out the moment school's done, and I'm not ready for that." "Why would they kick you out?" Zin grumbled in dismay, wrapping their sandwich and placing it back in the bag. Mint's footsteps quickened, as if she was trying to escape the question. "Once we're done with school, we're supposed to be off on our own. It was like that for each of my siblings, and it'll be like that with me too. But my siblings are better than me. They know what to do. I don't. I can't live on my own. I don't even have a job. I... Calm down, Mint. Ren urged, detecting a panic attack coming on and regretting that she had asked the question. We'll help you get set up. Yeah, and I'm sure Dad wouldn't mind letting you stay with us until you're ready to be on your own, Zin added. Mint broke down in tears, the three stopping their progress as the twins tried to soothe their friend. After what seemed ages, Mint finally wiped her tears away with the cuff of her sleeve. I'm sorry, she mumbled. It's just, your family is so kind. You're both already so nice to me, and your dad. Oh, thank you so much. Ren hugged her tightly. That's because we're a real family, she said softly. We look out for each other and love each other very much, and we'll have a place for you if you want or need it. Mint burst into tears again. I don't think you should promise them that, Zin said. We don't know if Dad would take them in. Of course he will, if he needs to, Ren protested. He took in Sorella, didn't he? I don't know. Does she even see herself as part of the family, though? That doesn't matter. She's still with us, and Dad is still looking after her like he looks after us. He'd do the same for Mint, especially if Mint needs his help. Our help. That's true. After Mint quelled her tears once more, they continued walking until they reached the edge of the city. Neither of them said anything more as they crunched through the snow and found the large leaf at the bottom of the slope. Not knowing what to do with her sandwich, Ren placed the wrapped food in her robe's inner pocket. Zin did the same. Well, this is where we leave you, Ren said as she turned to Mint, hoping they wouldn't burst into tears again. Here? Mint asked in surprise, sniffling. But where's the house? Over that hill, Zin said, pointing their thumb behind their shoulder. Oh. It was great to see you and spend time with you, Ren said. If we don't see you until school starts again, have a good break. You too. Bye. The twins turned away and crouched down to get back on the leaf when Mint let out a thrilled shriek. Ren glanced over her shoulder, her heart jumping to her throat at the sudden noise. Mint, what's... Mint's cry soon turned from that of delight to that of horror. A blue-furred cat was sprinting towards them, then jumping on their back. It's Kaokat! Ren gasped, her blood running as cold as the air around them. What do we do? Zin mumbled. Get them off me! Mint howled, hopping from one foot to the other and flailing their arms wildly. Ow! 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 They're biting me! Ren stepped forward with her wand raised, declaring boldly, Shove Kaokat off Mint! Wind rushed forward, but before it could slam into the cat, they had hopped away. As quickly as they came, they were gone, as if they had never been there in the first place. Are you okay? Ren asked, hurrying to Mint's side as Zin glanced from left to right. I think so, stammered Mint, her eyes wide in fear as she took her backpack off to check herself over. It hurt, but do you see any blood on me? No, Ren said, peering closely at Mint's shoulders and back. But you're wearing 2 sweaters. 3, actually, Mint mumbled, her voice still quivering. You should be fine then, Ren murmured. Ren! Zin gasped suddenly. What? She yelped as she turned around, expecting to see Kaokat running for her. We should bring her to Jabali. He can see spirit magic, Zin pointed out. And? Remember when Kaokat bit Dad? Jabali said there was spirit magic over his hand. What if they did something to Mint too? Mint gulped audibly. What? What did the cat do to me? I'm sure everything's fine, Ren yelped. Come on, Mint, Zin said seriously. We need to take you to see Jabali. Let's go. By the time the 3 reached the house, they found Jabali and Sorella waiting for them. Both looked quite dismayed to see the twins had gone to the city without telling them, but Jabali quickly grew concerned when he saw Mint. Mint's shoulder apparently glowed faintly with spirit magic, though it faded before Jabali's eyes. Jabali instantly called Hyaktu to give him an update, though neither of the adults appeared to know what Kaokat could be up to, or what sort of spirit magic they might have used. Unless Hyaktu was keeping secrets, of course. Ren had a bad feeling that Kaokat was marking them for something, but for what, she did not know. After all, what did Hyaktu and Mint have in common? And had Jabali been marked in the ship crash too? The conversation steered away from Kaokat as Hyaktu scolded his kids for leaving Jabali's house. Ren hung her head in shame, knowing that it had been a bad idea to go in the first place. I should have stopped Zin, she thought over and over.
Why did you go to the city?
Hyaktu asked, Ren nearly missing his words. We wanted to hang out with Mint, Zin said swiftly, before Ren could say anything. She's actually really worried about when the school year ends. Zin then told Hyaktu about Mint's parents likely kicking her out the moment school is done. But why don't they tell the truth? Why don't they ask Dad for more information on the Golden Bay Orphanage? Ren wondered, zoning out Zin's voice. Are they worried Dad's going to be mad at them? Or is it because they plan on... No, Zin wouldn't leave us.
I'll have to give it some thought, Mint, Hyaktu said shortly, his voice interrupting her thoughts. However, I see a valuable opportunity here which can help you out, which can help all of you.
What? Ren asked curiously.
You four can work for Jabali at Cool Coffee over the winter break, Hyaktu said.
What? Zin yelped. But it's supposed to be a break, not a job.
Then you can consider this punishment for leaving earlier, Hyaktu replied with a smirk.
Zin huffed in annoyance. Well, I think it'd be fun, Ren said keenly. It'd be great to get some work experience. And we'll get paid? Mint mumbled shyly.
Of course,
Jabali laughed.
Gotta get you some money saved up for when your parents kick you out.
Mint burst into tears at once.
Sorry,
Jabali hastily said.
I didn't mean to convey they are gonna kick you.
He sighed.
Well, a lot of my employees want to take time off anyway, so this would be helping me out.
But why do I have to do this? Sarala grunted, her voice hardly audible over Mint's cries. I didn't go to the city, and I don't need money.
A first job is always a valuable experience, Hyaktu told her. And it's especially valuable when you get to work with friends and family. I won't force you, Sarala, but I advise you take this opportunity.
Sarala huffed in annoyance, but made no other response.
That's settled then,
Jabali chuckled.
Hyaktu, you mind coming by tomorrow to place enchantments on the shop?
Sure thing.
And you kiddos will start tomorrow too.
Great, Ren and Zin replied in very different voices.
Now, get out of here, but not to that city, thank you very much. I gotta talk with your father in private.
Ren exchanged a glance with her twin. Zin shrugged, leading the way from the warm house to the cold world outside. Mint continued to cry as they stumbled through the forest, while Sarala grumbled indignantly off to the side. What do you think that was about? Zin asked Ren. Oh, I have an idea. Stay here, Ren ordered them. She turned and skipped back to the stone doorway, which was open just a crack. She paused outside it, able to hear Jabali's voice within, though he was making an effort to keep it low.
You know,
he was saying,
I forgot to tell you earlier that Zin asked me yesterday if I knew where they came from. That Golden Bay Orphanage. They did?
Hyaktu's faint voice asked in surprise.
And you told them? Well, duh, why wouldn't I? Because it's a dead end,
Hyaktu said flatly. Ren bit her bottom lip, taking a step closer until she was almost standing between the door and the house. Jabali's back was luckily to the door, as he sat at the bamboo table.
You know as well as I do that the orphanage didn't have any information on where they might have come from. Zin just showed up one day,
Hyaktu said. Like me? Ren wondered. She bit her bottom lip. That doesn't matter right now. I need to tell Dad. She squeezed between the door and entered the house, hurrying to Jabali's side before anything more could be said. Jabali glanced over at her and opened his mouth, but before he could tell her to leave, she spoke directly to her father. Dad, she said in a low voice, we went to the library today so Zin could research where that orphanage was. They found out it's on an island named Gula.
Hyaktu narrowed his eyes. Why didn't you say so earlier?
Zin changed the subject, she pointed out. She glanced over her shoulder to make sure Zin wasn't about to step inside too. But, Dad, I think they don't want you to know. I'm worried that they're pushing away. Hyaktu's violet eyes flashed in concern momentarily, before he reset his face to a neutral expression. Do you know why they are suddenly interested in their heritage? You two weren't ever interested in it growing up. I mentioned that, well, maybe their biological family was cursed or something, and that's why they can't do magic too well? Ren sighed, her shoulders slumping as she stared at the floor. It's all my fault for giving them that idea. Hyaktu frowned. Well, Zin won't learn anything from a library, he finally stated.
Hyaktu!
Kershid's distant voice sounded. Hyaktu sighed. I have to go. That could be the government. I'll hopefully see you kids tomorrow, okay? He hung up the call before Ren could say anything else. Jabali pocketed the mirror and got to his feet, walking to the kitchen. Ren remained standing in place, then went outside to rejoin the other teenagers. Well? Zin asked at once. What did he do? Did he hear everything they said? What were they talking about? Oh, well, Jabali told Dad you were looking into the orphanage, and Dad just said it was a dead end. Then he had to go, she murmured. Zin frowned. Why would it be a dead end? Ren shrugged in response, fighting the urge to push her glasses up her nose. She looked past Zin to Mint, who was finally calming down. Hey, Jabali, she called over her shoulder. Are we going to bring Mint home now, or...
I'll be out soon,
he shouted back. Ren then moved closer to Mint and Sorala, hoping Zin hadn't noticed anything strange. If Zin finds out they appeared too, will they leave us? Am I tearing the family apart because I gave them the idea in the first place? Ren's heart sunk, and she felt tears pricking her eyes. No, Zin wouldn't leave us like that. But it's still better to keep this information to myself.